Then next point, it may be noted that the necessary oil produced does not in any way depend upon the fault current. That's why I told it, because external source is there to send that pressure of oil. It does not depend upon the current, which actually in the case of your self-balanced oil circuit breaker. So next we will see on to that. I hope that everybody it is audible and clear. Advantages of this method. What are the advantages of this method? The advantages of this method, when you see on to this advantages of this method, the performance of the breaker is constant even at low current. Because what is that? Why we are saying at even at low current it is advantage? Because the force or the pressure is depends on, it does not depends on the current. The independent source is being operated because through when the piston is moved, high pressure of oil is forced. So external source is bent. That's why they are saying the pressure, the performance of the breaker is constant even at low current, as the pressure developed is independent of fault current. So it does not depend of the fault current as in the case of your self-balanced things. Next, the quantity of oil is required is less compared to previous method. The oil required is less. And the third point is, if current chopping is there while interrupting small inductive current, then damping by resistance switching is required. So suppose if current chopping takes place, then at that case you require the damping circuit is being need. Externally we have to add the damping circuit. So this is about the advantages of that. So far what we have seen is the bulk type circuit breaker, bulk oil circuit breaker. Next type we are going to see low oil circuit breaker or minimum oil circuit breaker. In the previous class itself we have just seen the intro part of the minimum oil circuit breaker. Once again we will revise it off and then we will go for the construction of your minimum oil circuit breakers or low oil circuit breakers. So that's why I told that when you are talking about the classification of the circuit breaker, basically depending upon the quantity of oil you are using, we can classify it into two categories, that is bulk oil circuit breaker. Another one is called as a minimum oil circuit breaker. In the case of your low oil circuit breaker, it requires only 10% what we are using in the case of your bulk oil circuit breaker. For example, if you are using in a bulk oil 1000 liters, here if you are using 100 liters, that is itself enough. So that's why they are saying the fact only a small percentage of oil is being used, that is about 10% of the total in the bulk oil circuit breaker. So that's why I told an example, if they are using 1000, here 100 liters is itself enough for the low oil circuit breakers. So that's why they are saying first it acts as a arc quenching medium. So what are the functions of this low oil circuit breaker? It acts as arc quenching. Two properties it does. It quenches the arc and it also acts as a insulators to light the parts of the earth. So two operations it is doing. One is arc quenching and it insulates the live parts. So that's we have already seen. And here also it will be doing two cases, that is it also quenches and also arc control will be also adapted. Now we can directly go for the low oil circuit breakers. So when you are talking about the low oil construction, low oil circuit breaker construction, it comprises of two compartments and three chambers. So two compartments, top compartment and lower compartment. And if you are talking about the chambers, it consists of top chamber, braking chamber and the supporting chamber. So it comprises of three chambers. One is top chamber, braking chamber and your supporting chamber. So in the braking chamber only we will be having off your moving contacts and your fixed contacts and everything. So that's why they are saying. So we'll see by point. The single phase, so the diagram we are going to see is nothing but that's why. So if you see onto this diagram, you can get it out of this. So this diagram will be very clear. So as I told you earlier, this is the diagrammatic representation of a low oil circuit breaker. So that's why I told that we are having 3 chambers. So that is the doomed shape is called as a top chamber, and here where it comprises of a moving contact and fixed contact and the braking, that is called as a circuit breaking chamber or braking chamber. We will sum it up, and this which supports your moving contacts, so that we call it as a supporting chamber. So basically we can classify it into two compartments. This is the top compartment and this is nothing but your bottom compartment. Basically we are having three chambers. The doomed shape is nothing but your top chamber, and the next is your braking chamber, and this is nothing but your supporting chamber. So if you see onto this diagram, as I told earlier, this is nothing but a gas vent and the breather to check the oil levels and other things. So if you see onto this mechanism of the chamber, so the moving contact and the fixed contact are placed in a braking chamber. Why we call this as a braking chamber means you are extinguishing or you are cutting off the arc there. So arc extinguishing takes place in this chamber, so that only we are calling this chamber as a braking chamber. So you can see that here nothing but a fixed contact and this is the moving contact. So you know that already, we already know that in normal condition both the contact, fixed contact and the moving contact will be in contact. So both your fixed contact and your moving contact will be intact, and any fault occurs, then only your moving contact and your fixed contact will be separated. Once if your moving contact and your fixed contact is being separated, an arc is stuck between that. If an arc is stuck between them, so arc will be produced in between the two contacts. So this is the general principle. Now we will see by using the low oil circuit breaker how it operates and how it extinguishes the arc. So first initially both this fixed contact and your moving contact will be in contact. In contact means it will be closely tighter. When any fault occurs, it will be moved and arc will be stuck. Once if the arc is being studied, you can see that in the fixed end one hole is there. From that a pressurized oil will be flowing on into the arc and the arc will be extinguished. So that only we call this as, initially we call it as a tubulator. So that we call it as a arc extinction device. So the oil will be pressurizedly passed on to the arc until the arc is extinguished. So now we will see one by one. So that's why I told that. So they have given the whatever I have told, they are saying here. Supporting chamber. It is a Procline chamber mounted on the metal chamber. That is the part of which carries your water, which carries your moving contact. It is filled with oil, which is physically separated from the oil in the circuit breaking component. And one more thing, as I told that if you see on through this diagram, you can get an idea. Here also oil is filled, here also oil is filled, but only we have to replace the oil only in this braking chamber. Here only the gas will be produced and hydrogen gas will be produced and arc vaporization, same principle. I am not explaining because in the previous itself I am, once arc is in, oil is produced, what happened, it vaporizes and hydrogen gas will be produced and it will produces the bubbles, and the bubble will go and eat the arc and automatically the arc will be extinguished. So some what to say, impurities and minerals decomposition will take place only in the braking chamber. It will not take in the supporting chamber. So you have to need to change only this oil. This oil cannot be changed here. Okay, before continuing, question in order to interact. So what type of oil we are using in oil circuit breaker? What is the name of the oil we are using? Can anyone answer? What type of oil? What is the name of the oil we are using in? Okay, very good, Suganya. So transformer oil we are using in the oil circuit breaker to quench the arc. So that's why they are saying it is a Procalline chamber. So it is a insulator material. The name of the material, how like a metal, we call it as a Procalline. So Procalline is nothing but pinggan. So the pinggan material chamber mounted on a metal chamber. Pinganing, and when you are traveling in the transmission line in insulators எல்லாம் பார்த்திருப்பீங்க, அதெல்லாம் Procalline மெட்டீரியல்ல தான் மேட் பண்ணிருக்கும். இதுவும் it is made up of Procalline. Procalline னா தமிழ்ல எக்ஸாக்ட்டா சொல்லணும்னா பீங்கான் மெட்டீரியல் அதுல பண்ணது. It is a Procalline chamber mounted on a metal chamber. It is filled with oil which is physically separated from the oil in the circuit breaking compartment. That is circuit breaking compartment தனியா இருக்கும். அதான் top compartment, down compartment. So in the down compartment only we are having the supporting chamber. Top compartment we are having top chamber and your breaking chamber. The oil inside the supporting chamber and the annular space formed between the Procalline insulate and bakelite paper is employed for insulation purpose. Insulation kosam insulation la endha problem varakudadundradhu kosam we are using bakelite and the insulating purpose. Then next chamber, as I told, basically in this oil circuit breaker we are having 2 compartments and 3 chambers. One is that's why as I told, top chamber, circuit breaking chamber and the supporting chamber. Next we will discuss about the circuit breaking chamber. In case of the circuit breaker chamber, you are having the annular space bomb and the Procalline insulation. For what? For the insulation purpose. So that's why I told that we are having in the circuit breaking chamber we are having 3 parts: upper and lower fixed contacts. Upper and lower means that is nothing but your fixed contact and your moving contacts, and tubulator. So tubulator, what is that? So this part we call it as a tubulator. That is nothing but your arcing device, that we call it as a tubulator. That's why they are saying moving contact and the tubulator. The next chamber, as I told, the top chamber, it is in a domed shape. It is a metal chamber mounted on the circuit breaking at the top. Why we are going for the top chamber? The top chamber is used to provide the expansion space for the oil in the circuit breaker. And also why we are going for the top chamber? It prevents the loss of oil. So for that only it will be thing. Then we move on to the operation. Already I have told what is the operation. In the case of the operation, under normal condition the moving contacts remains engaged, that is fixed with, both are fixed. When fault occurs, the moving contact is been, that's why I told that when fault occurs due to the current produce of the fault current, electromagnetism action takes place. Due to the electromagnets pull the spring and the moving contact will be relaxed from the fixed contact. That's why they are saying pulled down by the tripping spring and the arc is stuck between them. The arc energy, that's why I told that once in the oil circuit breaker, what happened? Once arc takes place, it will be vaporizes and finally we get hydrogen gases with the high pressure. That's why they are saying the arc energy vaporizes the oil and produce gases under high pressure. So that's why how the arc is present. So what happened? Through this hole, center hole, the moving contact, a forcing series of oil passes to this area. This you can see that a small duct or a throat is there, no? That we call it as a tubulator. So through the tubulator the oil will be processed. So through this it will be forced things. That's why they are saying the process of tubulation is in which the section of the arc are successively quenched by the effect of separate streams. So some pressurized oil will be flowing across each sector in turn, bringing away its gases, bubbles hit the arc and you will be getting arc will be quenched. So this is about the how the minimum oil circuit breaker is being asked. So in this unit is concerned, surely one question may be asked in the circuit breaker. Either they may ask oil circuit breaker or blast. Only in the next class we can see other 2 types also. Next today's class we will discuss about the air blast circuit breaker. So can anyone say that what is air blast circuit breaker? Why we call this type of circuit breaker as a air blast? Why? Because the medium we are using the air as a medium to quench this arc. So previously we have used the oil as a medium to quench arc produced in the circuit breaker. Here we are using the medium. Air is being used as a medium to quench the arc. So we call this type of circuit breaker as a air blast circuit breakers. So here we are using a high pressured air, compressed air has been used to pass down to the arc, and the arc will be quenched. So this type of circuit breaker we call it as a air blast circuit breaker. That's why the first point they are saying the breakers employ high pressure. So high compressed air will be forced, and that's why I told that here we are using the air to blast the arc. Quenching medium. So the medium we are using is the arc to quench the arc. So we call this as a air blast circuit breaker. So how we are just introduction part they are saying the contacts are opened in flow. That's what happened. When any fault occurs, the moving contact will be flows. Air blast established by the opening blast valve. So once how we can see in the post blast circuit breaker, it is mechanically coupled with the contact. Likewise, there will be also contact. Once the moving contact is being moved, immediately, automatically, the wall of the air will be released and the air will be blast the arc. That's why they are saying the constants are open in flow of air blast established by opening the blast valve. Once the contact open, the blast valve will be opened, then air will be burst. So the air blast cools the arc. How it quenches the arc, that they are saying. The air blast cools the arc, rapidly increases the dielectric strength of the medium between the contact and prevents from re-establishing the arc. So in this point, re-establishing the arc means what type of voltage it is. We have seen three types of voltage. Can anyone say that? In the arc phenomena, we have seen three types of voltages. What are that? And in here, re-establish means what type of voltage it will come. Okay, so basically we are having three types of voltage: arc voltage, restriking voltage, recovery voltage. So what it prevents the recovery voltage. Re-establishing the arc means the recovery voltage only makes to re-establish the arc. So it will prevent the recovery voltage. So in the arc you have to know that three types of voltages. One is arc voltage, restriking voltage, recovery voltage. So what they are saying, by this air blast cools, what we are preventing? We are preventing the recovery voltage. So why it is very necessity or the importance? If you are not quenching the recovery voltage, the arc will be thin, the arc time will be longer. So in order to reduce the arc time, we are cutting off or we are extinguishing the recovery voltage. As I told earlier, this is very important 2-mark question. In this three, they may ask, explain restriking voltage or define recovery voltage, like that. So please thorough with that 2-mark question. So that is the fourth point. The next one, consequently, the arc is extinguished and flow of current until the arc present, then only the current will be there. If arc is being extinguished, the flow of current will be also interrupted. Now we will see the various classifications or the advantages of the air blast circuit breaker. So next is, what are the advantages? Why we are slowly moving on? As I told, now due to the technological development and due to the technological revolution, we are slowly reducing the use of oil circuit breaker, because explosion may take place, fire accident may be takes place in the oil circuit breakers. So that is avoided in case of air blast circuit breaker. That's why the first point they are saying, risk of fire is being eliminated. The fire accident or explosion may be reduced, because here we are not using the media as oil, we are using the air blast. So that is the reason nowadays oil circuit breakers are used in very less in number, especially that also they will use only minimum oil circuit breakers. The arcing products, so that's why completely it will be extinguishing the, that's why the second point, the arcing products are completely removed by the blast. So you know that if a pressurized air Even though you know that if any cyclone comes, you can see that if any cyclone comes, how barely they are removing the tree itself, even the vehicles like that. So such as pressurized air, we are not using that. So depending upon the current, we will be giving pressurized air. So that's why the arcing products are completely removed by the blast. So you know that what is the effect. Why I have told the example of cyclone. So what is the pressure of the air comes like that. The pressurized air will be sent and the blast will be completely remove the arcing product. It will not leave anything. It will be removing off. So why I told the example of cyclone means to know the how pressure the air has. The arcing time is very small. That's why I told that it is at the very fastly the arc will be extinguished, because once the moving contact remove, the ball removes, and the blast of air will be flowing off, and immediately it will be throwing off all the arcing products. So that's the point they are saying. The arcing time is very small due to the rapid buildup of dielectric stretching between the contacts. So such a pressurized pressure we are sending on to the arc. Due to the lesser arc energy, air blast circuit breakers are very suitable condition for very frequent operation. That's why I told that most of the cases we are using the air blast circuit breaker, because it is economic and no accidents are there, no probability of accidents are there. So these are the important 4 points, or what is the necessity of going for the air blast circuit breakers, or what are the merits of the air blast circuit breaker. So depending upon the direction, how we are sending the air, how we are passing the air to the circuit breaker, it can be classified into 3 categories. One is axial blast air circuit breaker, second one is cross blast air circuit breaker, and third one is radial blast circuit breakers. So how we are classifying, it is based on in what direction we are passing on the air to the contacts of the circuit breaker. We can classify it into 3 categories. One is axial blast type, second one is cross blast type, and third one is radial blast type. So what is that axial blast type, what is this cross blast type, and what is that radial blast type? If the air blast is directed along the arc path, if it is sent along the arc path, it is called as a axial blast. If it is sent at the right angles to the arc path, it is called as a cross blast. If the arc blast is directly sent radially, then we call it as a radial blast. So that's why I told that how we are classifying this air blast circuit breaker. The air blast circuit breakers are classified into 3 categories based on in what direction we are passing the air. So if we are sending the air in the arc path, directed to the arc path, it is called as a axial. If you are sending the towards the right angles of the arc path, it is called as a cross blast. If you are sending radially to the arc path, then we call it as a radial blast type air blast circuit breaker. So when you see the diagram, you can get a clear-cut idea about it. So now you can be see this diagram. It will be very clear that how we are classifying these 3 categories of axial blast type, cross blast type, and radial blast type. So in the first diagram is nothing but the axial. So why it is sent in the directed arc path between the moving contact and the fixed contact. So that only, so you can see the arrow, the blast arrow there in the diagrammatic, you can see the clear arrow, how it is directed along the arc path. So the first diagram is called as a axial blast. Why we are saying axial blast? It is directed along the arc path. Then next one is cross blast circuit breaker. So you can see that it is at the right angle. It is at the right angle to the arc path. So here blast. So that we call that as a cross blast circuit breaker. So next one is radially. So radially you can see that how the blast is going up. So this arrow blast is, so here blast is nothing but how the air is being sent. So the third one is called as a radial blast type. So This is also important question. In 2 marks or 3 marks they may ask. Classification of air circuit breakers they may ask. So you have to write axial blast circuit breaker, air blast circuit breaker, cross blast circuit breaker, and radial. Sometimes in the 2 marks also they may be asking about it, or otherwise they may ask about any one of the air blast circuit breakers to do it off. Are you clear? Presentation is visible. Okay, now we will continue. So next we will see about the, so we are very clear that what are the various types of air circuit breakers. In the case of various types of axial things, we are having axial, cross jet, and the radial. So now we will see the operation of the axial blast air circuit breaker. So please carefully listen the diagram. So if you see onto this diagram, initially at the normal, that's why they are projected in the air, and this left side of the slide, at normal condition, both your moving contact and your fixed contact. So you can see that this side is your fixed and this side is your. So if first you see the construction of the diagram, here we are having moving contacts, fixed contact, and the piston, and R valve, or receiver, series isolators, normal cranes for the voltages, moving contacts, and everything. So how it operates? How it operates? Initially, what is the? So we will have two conditions. One is normal condition, another one is abnormal conditions. At normal condition, what is the procedure? At the normal condition, both your fixed contact and your moving contact will be in tight contact. That will be in a closed position. At that time, your valve will be also closed. So the amount of R or the compressed air will be stored in your air reservoir. So at the initial condition, your fixed contact and the moving contact will be in a closed condition. If any fault occurs, what happens? Through this spring, your moving contact will be removed. Your moving contact will be pulled off. So automatically what happened? An arc will be produced. The arc will be stuck between moving contact and your fixed contact. That's why they are specifying here arcing chamber. So in this place only arc will be produced. So what happens once the contact is been removed? This R valve will be opens, automatically opens, and through this R valve, the air will be blast out to the arc. So initially the contact is closed, the valve will be also closed. Once the moving contact is been removed, that is moved, automatically the R valve which is connected here will be opened and the air will be blast axially and it will be conscious of the arc. So that's why they are saying. So now you will see it in this case. The fixed and moving contacts are held in the closed position by a spring pressure. The air reservoir is connected to the arcing chamber through a R valve. The valve remains closed under normal condition but opens automatically by tripping the impulse when fault current. That's why I told them. That's why what I explained, it is in the point. First initial, once again I will repeat it up. What is the condition? At the normal condition, both your fixed contact and your moving contact will be in a closed position. At that case, the air valve will be also closed. If any fault occurs, your moving contact is been removed, automatically the R valve will be automatically tripped off and air will be pressurized, air will be flowing axially towards to blast the arc. It will be blasting of the arc and the arc will be extinguished. So this is the thing what we have seen in the case of your axial blast air circuit breaker. Are you clear? Any doubt? So what I have explained again, it is saying When a fault occurs, the tripping impulse causes the opening the air valve, which connects the circuit breaker reservoir, connects to this and to the chamber. A higher pressure of air entering the arcing chamber passes the moving contact against the spring. That's why I told that. So high pressure will blast along the arc and takes place. So what I have explained is that consequently the arc will be extinguished and the current flow will be, once the arc is extinguished, the current flow will be interrupted. So next type. So we have seen three